beautiful people of Earth, welcome to a brand new episode of FREAKQUELS, where we talk about horror movies, sequels, and all those weird movies that Vince has yet to watch. I'm your host.
Us as friends.
This is bonded us as friends. We love. So I'm one of your hosts. I'm EJ Leeson, and that was Rory Calarasi. And with us
coming at you live from Three Jacks Burger Bar.
Burger Bar.
Burger Bar.
Ricky Burger. But with us today is young Vince.
I like it. No, now I like it. Now I
you
like
like
it.
it? All right.
Okay.
So this is a movie that Rory actually picked. And you brought this up in a text. You're like, hey, for the next podcast, you want to do this? And I went, hell yeah, because this is one of my favorite sequels of all time. I think it's I put this in my notes too. The climax of this movie I think is one of the best climaxes of any horror film.
Up there with T2.
Yeah, it really is. It's very close to T2.
I know, it's very similar.
It's so weird that you brought that up. It is so close to that. So the movie today that we are covering is Child's Play 2.
And why did I think of Child's Play 2? Because fuck you.
Me?
No,
I
not
love
you.
this movie. Yeah.
I'm talking to all these people listening at home. I just hate them.
They know it.
I know.
They know it, and now
They're
they're
hate
getting
listening.
confirmation right now.
They hate listening.
So this is the first time you got to see it, right, Vince?
It's not that I didn't enjoy it. I thought it was dumb, but I had a lot of fun. There were so many one-liners, and I know we're gonna get there.
Oh, we are.
And I have one that after watching this, I'm saving. It's going in my back pocket, and I'm gonna use it for the rest of my life.
So, we were talking about this before. I'm a huge Roger Ebert fan, so I thought that I would pick some choice lines from his review of Child's Play 2 that might fall in line with what you were just saying. Roger Ebert said it made him feel unclean and disturbed. He also said it was a sick, unwholesome, and completely malignant exercise. It was well made and effective, but as a human being, I wish I hadn't seen it.
As a human being.
Roger Ebert also said the movie was well made. Siskel responded with, only the last sequence was.
Wow.
So, this unflattering review made me so excited to see it. Because it's like, when critics are like, it's disgusting, it's reprehensible, I'm like, rent it. I need it right now.
I need this now.
I remember seeing it for the first time, too, and I'm like,
Give me this.
I'm like, people are always talking about how great a movie Casablanca was, but this is much better.
This is
as a 9-year-old.
This is more my speed.
Yeah.
But one cool thing about Rory and I, we're both huge horror movie fans, and we both own a Chucky doll. And not just like an angry-looking Chucky doll, but like a legit, like, good guy doll. Yours is incredible because yours is actually made from the mold of a Child's Play 2 doll, which is like outstanding. Yours costs like what, like $500?
Well, we
right?
don't have to say that into the mic.
Oh, okay. Well, we don't have to. we don't have to say that into the mic.
We can. I can say though that it does creep out both of our girlfriends.
Yes, yeah. So I have like
Becca doesn't like to admit that it's real.
Yeah.
Your doll is it's
Whose?
terrifying.
Mine?
Your doll. Rory's
yeah.
doll. Rory's got this doll that has eyes that, God, we're going to take a picture of it and eventually put it up somewhere. But
They're ice blue,
yes.
like
And
cold.
yours, like I said before we started, I would play with yours as a child.
Yeah.
And as a child, looking at Rory's doll, I would know that there was something wrong with it.
It's too authentic.
It's too real, and
Yeah.
it's too...
Because it like literally, for those of you at home
And
who
the other
can't
thing
see
is,
it,
like-
it looks like it was literally taken out of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, I really want to just stare at
And
this
I
kid
bought
because-
that with my hard-earned money.
I know. I
Why?
love it. Yeah, no, so one of the things that you brought up is about Becca and Robin, our girlfriends. They literally hate our Chucky dolls.
And us.
Yeah, and probably us for having them.
Yeah, I don't know
but-
what they're doing. Both of you outkicked your coverage, if you have any idea what that means. But go ahead.
But it's so funny. So my girlfriend has no problem with like a life-size Ghostface or if he's dressed up as Michael Myers. But the Chucky doll, she hates it. And so she literally asked if I could turn it to face the wall. So So most of the time in that room, it's always like facing the wall.
So at some point throughout do you just ever so slightly, like a quarter of an inch at a time, try and rotate it
Trying
back
to-
into the room?
No, actually, I like sometimes I'll like, of course, flip it around and like,
I'm not telling
or
you how
whatever,
to live your
but
life, but I'm just saying
sometimes
that
I forget, and so she goes in there. She's like, "EJ, please stop doing that."
See, like I don't even have to do that because mine just kind of leaves the box periodically.
You don't have to do it yourself; it does it automatically.
Yeah.
That's why it was $500.
I actually paid like the upcharge for the possessed version.
Yeah.
It's not Charles Lee Ray that's in there. It's some other horrible monster.
Yeah, but yeah, let's get into the breakdown of this movie. So the movie starts with a powerful score, like seriously incredible, right? Like,
Yes, I enjoyed it.
and it's by Graham Revel, and he did like the music for The Crow. I don't know if you knew that, but yeah,
That's what I think. Didn't he do Bride of Chucky also?
I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then but yeah,
And
this
Amistad, if
music
I'm
is
correct.
just so freaking
He didn't
good.
do
like,
Amistad.
The score.
The score was good, and the what do you call it? The ancillary music in the background was very 80s-esque, which I loved.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
put you in that time period, which
Yeah.
is always fantastic.
Yeah, so and we get like a montage, and basically we see that they're repurposing the burnt Chucky doll from the first one. It's like covered in char, and we see them, they're trying to like scrape off the char, which makes sense because I have heard, and this is like 100% a true story, of companies doing this before. Like, I watched this crazy video on YouTube about Flight 401. Now, I recommend watching it because it'll creep you the frig out. But, so this was a plane that was repurposed from a large plane crash where numerous people have died. So they took the parts that were still salvageable and rebuilt another plane, like used it for a new plane. And then a bunch of people, like crew, passengers, they would get feelings. Like they would go down to the kitchen and go, I feel something there. Like they always felt like someone was there in the kitchen, and they knew they were there down by themselves. People saw ghosts like literally sitting in chairs where they're like, that's the captain. And then they recognized that was the captain that like died in that plane crash. So that, how freaking weird is that? Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
So companies really do this. So if anyone's like, oh, why would they do this with the Chucky doll? They do this.
Is it also like an effort to hide evidence?
Yeah.
Because he's like, we've got the doll. Like it sounds more like,
Yeah.
We're gonna sweep it under
Yeah,
the rug.
this is-
Don't worry
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
guys.
hey. So real quick, when they're assembling the doll,
Yeah.
did you notice that like the guy building it at one point when he puts like Chucky's leg and he does this like little sensual caress? Did you catch that? It's
Yeah.
really weird.
It's really weird. But yeah, no, it's just so when they're doing this, when I was younger, I was like, why would they take like a murder doll and like do this? But then I'm like, oh, okay, like companies are weird and would do something like that.
I was also trying to rationalize as to why the hell would they want to rebuild a doll that was apparently possessed by whatever.
Yeah.
You know what? Not only are we going to rebuild it, we're going to rebuild it stronger and better than it was before.
Yeah.
So this way, if we had to kill it, just in case,
Just in case.
we're going to make it a little bit more difficult for ourselves.
Yeah.
We're gonna put 2 murderer souls inside
Two
of
of
it.
them.
Child's Play 2.
But yeah,
2
so
souls.
so we get some exposition for those who missed the first movie, and
Dude, everybody in this movie is giving exposition. about-
Yeah, like
At
it's
the
so
very
crazy.
beginning, 3 different times.
Like 3
So-
different occasions. We see like the CEO of Good Guy walking with this assistant, and this assistant is basically just recapping everything that happened in the first movie, right? And now also giving us a little bit of detail, like where the mother is and where Andy, the child who was attacked,
Why she's not there?
yeah, why she, so it kind of explains like, oh, she's not here because she's like now in like
Contract negotiations.
a right, yeah.
No.
And then Andy himself, he's in like a foster care system. But the doll we see is back in the company's hands and is now rebuilt, and the two are looking in and witnessing a man who gets electrocuted as he's like trying to turn on the doll.
I thought they were trying to. Did they put the eyes in?
The eyes in, yeah, it
it
was like that.
Okay.
And then he's like trying to hit the machine, and he touches it.
It's stuck.
It's like
Which
he tries to Fonz it.
Oh man, that would have been the best cameo. Hey, thanks, Fonz.
So this guy gets electrocuted.
Uncredited Henry Winkler cameo.
So he gets electrocuted and he gets shot like through the window. Like I don't know how much electricity was like going through this guy, but he literally is like thrown about 20 feet through a window and lands right in front of the CEO and this assistant, and they're like, "Oh." Got the doll.
That scene was when I knew, okay, there's going to be jump scares, but for the most part, this movie's going to be fun. Because that was so friggin' ridiculous that he's electrocuted and blown away.
By Chucky Power.
By Chucky Power. Not blown to safety, but blown away in danger and through the... Yeah, it was awesome. I love it.
No, it was insane. And so then we cut over to Andy, who gives more exposition on his relationship with Chucky. So he's like kind of talking to his psychiatrist, and he's like, yeah, you know, there's a doll that tried to kill me. So he's like giving the exposition, and I guess this is to let the audience know, oh, this is Andy.
Yeah.
I pretty much, and in his relationship,
which
that
for the
happens.
record, Alex Vincent is a terrific little kid actor.
In this,
He's
he's like
so
incredible.
endearing.
Yeah, he's really, really good.
I like how she's like, dreams can't hurt you.
Yeah.
And then she followed it up with, she's like, oh, and by the way, I actually just bought a house on Elm Street.
yeah. But yeah, no, the psychiatrist is like, wow, scary dream, pal, you know? And Andy's like, yeah, it is. It's a response of, yeah, it is. It just like cracked me up.
Hey, side story. So years ago, the first Monster Mania that we went to,
Yeah.
Alex Vincent was there. And I went to multiple Monster Manias throughout the years, and he was at a lot of them. So after a while, we just kind of like, he like just started recognizing me.
Yeah.
And I remember the one time we were actually just like hanging out at his table, showing me doing like card tricks for each other.
Just chilling.
Yeah, he's like super cool. Like
Yeah.
he's like literally, I think either a couple years older than us.
Yeah.
On the same.
Probably, yeah.
But yeah, he's like super nice.
Yeah.
I remember showing him the card trick. He's like, oh wow, and he just showed me some stuff.
Yeah.
He's like, this is a Hollywood card trick. Oh, I put that in my notes. I put Alex Vincent as a great little kid actor. Cool
Yeah.
guy.
And
Cool
you know,
story? Question mark.
Yes, story, maybe. But yeah, so back at the Good Guy factory, the CEO asks his assistant to bury anything leaking out about their new dead employee. Which I was like, he's like, bury it. Do whatever you can. It's not like, make sure his family is like taken care of, this whole thing. It's like, no. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't talk about helping out with the funeral expenses at all. He's just like, bury this. Make sure it doesn't get out.
Did you know that the like Good
Yeah.
Guys factory was actually the very first name for Amazon? Ba-ba-ba-ba-dum-bum.
So the assistant goes like, hey, so what should I do with the doll that's like just laying on the floor right now? And he's like, stick it up your ass.
And the doll literally is like in a position like, wait, what?
Yeah.
It's like if we go back and look at him, he's like, huh? And then they actually show it.
Yeah, which I thought was weird.
What? Wait, what cut was that? Because I didn't get that
Oh,
cut.
it's on the deleted scenes.
Oh, I got. Okay, I'll have to look into that.
Yeah.
It's called Chucky's in a tight squeeze. Oh no.
Oh, no. But meanwhile, Andy is being monitored now by two foster parents, Mr. and Mrs. Simpson.
Who are weird.
Who
They seem real nice
the
when I was
Simpsons?
9 years old. They're kind of weird.
You know, it's funny. I had like a reverse. Like, I didn't like them when I was younger, and then like now that I was older, watching it, I'm like, oh, you know, the stepdad's not as bad as I remembered. I don't know.
Do you remember that? Do you remember in the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2 that play that Mary Jane was in?
Oh,
It was like the importance of being earnest.
Yeah.
Like, why do they live in the set of that play?
Yeah. Let's. Yeah.
The colors?
We'll
Are you
get to
talking
that
about-
house.
are you talking
We'll get
about
to
the
that
colors?
house.
I got a lot to say about the house.
The colors and the molding and the scheme
Yeah.
and the tchotchkes and
Yeah.
Lots of tchotchkes.
Yeah, it's so okay. So they're monitoring Andy and stuff, and they're contemplating on taking him in. So they actually get more exposition on Andy and Chucky. And in Charles Lee Ray, because I guess they didn't really touch on any of this before. And so they get more exposition of like the lady who's in charge of the orphanage.
She's in a lot of horror movies, isn't she? The lady that runs the foster home?
She looked really familiar. I don't know. I never looked into...
She looked like everyone's mom's best friend in the 80s.
Yes.
Yeah.
And her name is Charlene. And she smokes. And you know what? If you go over to her house, she'll let you have a wine.
She was
maybe a beer.
She always wanted to get married, and then she got married, and she stopped hanging out with your mom entirely.
Yeah.
That's the kind of person that is.
I literally...
I love that we just typecast her.
Yeah.
And what's great is we're probably not wrong.
You know, she probably sounds like this Child's Play 2 podcast floating around. She's like, oh, wow, fuck you guys. Freakquels.
Fuck you guys. So... Then they actually end up agreeing to take Andy in, and they're driving back home, and they're asking him, basic questions like, "Do you like food?"
Oh yeah.
Do you like food? And he's like, "I like chocolate." Yeah. And Mr. Simpson, who is the foster father, almost gets hit by a good guy truck,
which is a great shot, by the way.
Yeah.
The truck on the reflection of the,
Yeah, it's really good.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so good.
That was good.
That's like taking what could have been like 2 or 3 separate shots and just making one.
Yeah. And and it's cool because you see like it's a trigger for
good guy,
Andy.
Good guy doll reflection on car equals neat.
Neat.
That's what I would say.
Yeah. Equals, pretty cool. So the family gets back home. And it's, so let's talk about this house. This house is painted all weirdly different colors, but bright, like, I don't know. It looks cool. And knickknacks everywhere. And that's when Andy actually
looks
spots...
like a stage play.
Yeah, it does. It looks like it would be like something you would see. Like if you went to a play... That would be like the set, you know what I mean?
It's a set. That's
100%, yeah. It doesn't look like a home; it looks like a set.
Did you see all the weird like glass clowns and the paintings?
Yeah, the knickknacks are like everywhere.
Like even Chucky looks around at one point and he's like, "This is creepy."
What the hell?
Yeah,
he's like, "You guys are sick."
I just want to get the word tchotchke in there again.
Lots of tchotchkes.
Tchotchkes, knickknacks, all of those things.
Tchotchkes, yeah.
And the color scheme, as a colorblind person, was jarring to me because it's like sky blue and white, and it's just
pink.
And I'm like, there's no way that anybody in the world would have that color scheme in their house, and yet there it was, and it was jarring to me.
Yeah, it was like really off-putting. Maybe that's the point.
To kind of disrupt you, and because I know that, and that's one of those things that, again, I like to go back and go deep into it. Directors, and they'll put thought into it to make you like disoriented. So that could be one of those things where like I chose these colors specifically to make you uncomfortable.
I think it was more to make Andy uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like
the blue pants.
I think it's something about like Andy kind of like
I did think that.
He enters the house and it's like he can't even like touch anything. He's just in a perpetual
because
state of
the father,
discomfort.
like the Mr.
like,
Simpson, scolds him right away. He's like, hey, don't touch anything or break anything.
Don't touch anything.
Don't touch that super valuable glass figurine that was right on the edge of the table.
Just
waiting to fall
out
over
in the open.
Like you need only slam the door. It's gonna inch off the table.
And she's like, oh, my grandmother gave it to my mother, and my mother gave it to me. He's like, who you going to give it to? He did that on purpose.
He did. And he's like, I could tell.
He knew.
No, you didn't.
He should have said, why don't you put that someplace safe where it's not going to break instead of leaving it out for anyone to touch.
Seriously, like the wind.
Chucky walks, he's like, there's much worse places for that to go.
Yeah. But
callbacks.
But yeah, no, I the color scheme of the house even kind of matches like the costuming of Chucky himself in a weird way. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so
like
I
can't
think
get away from it. It's like all around
it's
him.
still like it's there subconsciously, like. And even us as the audience, maybe we're not like, oh, that's a Chucky, like color scheme. But I think it's like supposed to be like that to kind of give you the off kilter of the house too. Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I mean it's well put together.
But it
Director,
looks like
set
a weird
designer,
set.
they-
Yeah,
I
but
feel
it
like they did
does
that.
look like they're about to do the
importance of being earnest.
the importance of being earnest at the local theater house.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for Mary Jane Watson just to be sitting there looking for Peter Parker in the
Yeah.
audience. He never shows
He's
up.
not there.
He's
Hey,
not
Tiger.
there. He
Yeah.
tried though.
He tried.
He almost
Yeah.
got in. If
Yeah.
not for Bruce Campbell.
Again.
Your shoes. Yeah.
And that's gonna be late.
So as Andy heads upstairs to find his room, he walks in on his foster sister, who is named Kyle, who is too cool, by the way, because we could tell by the way she is smoking and wears a leather hat.
She looks like Blossom.
She looks like Blossom, but she smokes. She's got to be trouble.
Yeah, she's got edge to her.
Yeah.
Kyle, played by Christine Elise.
Sure.
Elise, right?
Christine Elise, yeah.
Tons
Yeah.
of movies, and to go back.
She was on 90210.
And she was also in the Chucky TV show.
Yeah, Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake in the 90s.
She was
I
an
like that one.
Amistad also.
But she was not.
She wasn't in that?
No, she
Oh,
was
jeez, I'm
not.
sorry.
But
Sorry, guys.
so he briefly meets her, and Joanne walks in. She's like, "Please don't smoke in the house. Don't smoke in the house. Come on, Kyle. You know better." And Kyle's like, "What does it matter? I didn't unpack. I don't think I'm gonna be here for 2 more weeks anyways. Get out of my face. Get out of my room. Let's go."
Because she's never been in
you
a
let
place
that
more than.
Yeah.
Did you let that dialogue breathe a little bit there, Kyle?
I know. But so Andy ends up finding his room, and as he's looking around, he's like playing with he sees a train set. He's like, "Oh, cool," and he's like playing with that. And she's like, "Oh yeah, there's more in the closet."
Well, real quick before you get into the closet, there's like a Godzilla toy on Andy's nightstand that I own. I have
Really?
this thing,
Do you
yeah.
still have it?
I still do.
Shut
It's on my
up. That's
dining room
amazing.
table.
That's funny because I
awesome.
noticed the Godzilla.
No, so right now Andy is just messing around in his room, and he goes into the closet and he looks up and he sees a skateboard and he's like, "Oh hell yeah!" So he climbs up to grab it, and as he grabs it, good guy doll falls on top of him, and he freaks the hell out. But
As he should.
right, of course, yeah, because he thinks, like he almost killed me and my mom last time.
Yeah.
So
That was
this
a little bit of an oversight on their part.
yeah. Well, she says that
And she
though.
apologized too.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
One of the other kids must have left it or something. You know what I mean? And so.
Oh, I know we shouldn't have left this demonic doll.
Yeah. You know why? She's too busy dusting all her knickknacks to
knickknacks
pay
and
attention to
That's
what's
a
going
full-time
on.
job.
And
Washing
now
those
that I think
knickknacks.
about it, those tchotchkes were pristine.
Yeah.
Not a
Yep.
layer of dust.
And
Exactly.
for the record, when she gets rid of the doll, she literally just brings it downstairs.
Not actually outside in the garbage.
But
where-
right
Not even in
next-
a closet somewhere else. Or the
Essentially-
basement.
essentially
Puts it
displayed.
right where he's going to
She's
see it in the
displayed
morning.
it.
To ruin his morning.
And it's literally right next to the family heirloom that she's like, "Please don't touch."
Yo, maybe
Back-
the Simpsons are kind of like diabolical. Like, you think-
Yeah.
you know, they're probably sitting there like, that kid that got all messed up with the doll, we should put one in his
We should
closet.
put it in his closet.
That'd be funny.
See if it triggers him.
Yeah.
But back at the good guy company.
Meanwhile,
We're just
Meanwhile-
trying to derail him, and I love
No,
these
no,
shows.
no,
No,
go, keep going.
No, it's fantastic.
No, back at the company, the assistant is leaving for the day, and he has the repurposed good guy doll, and it's like pouring rain, and he calls his girlfriend, and she's like on his car phone. And he's like, "Hey, baby, what's up?" And then she's like, "Hey, could you stop and like get some vodka?" He's like, "Oh, I forgot the vodka."
No. He was like, "Yeah, baby, no problem."
Yeah.
He was lying, saying
Oh,
that
that's
he already
right.
had it, and then he was gonna.
you
Yeah.
know, you guys skipped right over the fact that this guy's car is filled with stolen toys from his job. It is like filled to the brim with stolen
Yeah, why
merchandise.
is
This guy
that?
couldn't put $1 in the trunk and close it. That's how
Yeah.
much shit he had in his.
He was
trunk.
stealing
I
from
gonna say,
work. He's
Yeah.
not like taking staplers or pens. He's like, oh wow, I got Transformers, I got Mousetrap.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's not like he was trying to put a heavy case into the trunk. He was trying to put $1 in a briefcase, and he couldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is really funny, like, to think about. Well, you know, like, it could be, like, a company thing. They always, like, give you, like, like, oh, here's this toy. And he probably just takes them, and he
Yeah, but
doesn't...
empty your trunk out, man.
Yeah.
No, I think he
exactly.
just takes one toy out of the company every day as a fuck you to his boss.
Probably.
He's just like, this looks expensive.
You know what? I'm taking this
It's
Chucky
mine now.
doll.
It's mine
Yeah,
now.
maybe I could sell this.
He's just got like
The black
He was
market.
like the origin of eBay.
Yeah, yeah. He did have
Just
a
sells them out of
car
his
phone.
trunk. He just drives around town.
Yeah.
So like mousetrap, motherfucker.
Come over here. So anyways, he stops to get some vodka at the liquor store, and then Chucky, he kind of eyes up his
Store called Liquor.
Yeah, liquor.
Liquor. That's
Liquor.
The store's just
Wait.
called
Liquor. Yeah.
What do you think they're selling?
That is the most surly guy behind the counter too. He's like, we don't accept that here.
He's like, oh, this is a gold card. It's good anywhere. He's
Not
like,
here,
not
it
here.
ain't.
Not here.
It's like a man who just never understood how to do customer service.
Yeah. And you would think he would be like, oh, cool, I'm going to sell a bottle of vodka. No, he's like, yeah, get out of here, you know?
You could literally just be like, no, there's an ATM down the street.
Yeah. But we see where Chucky actually uses the car phone to call the orphanage, and he's like, hey, is Andy there? And, yeah. And she's like, oh, no, he's not here. And I'm guessing she literally spilled all the info on this poor
But
kid.
if you're looking for him,
Yeah, if you're looking for him.
Listen,
Here's
I'm not
Mrs.
really allowed to
Simpson's number?
say,
Yeah.
but let me give you all of the details. Let me give you the
did you say his name was
address.
Charles? Like Charles Lee Ray? Like,
I don't
that's
have a
weird.
Can I ask who's calling?
I don't believe in coincidences,
Charles.
but this
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
that's weird.
Charles? Oh, sure. I think he mentioned he had a friend Charles. And then she
We'll
just
say that this is C. Ray. No, that's too obvious. Charles R.
Charles R. And so she obviously gives up Andy and where he is and everything.
And why wouldn't she?
Right.
Yeah.
So so the car alarm goes off, and so we see this assistant. He like runs out to the car, and he's like boop boop, and he gets in, and he's about to drive off, and then Chucky pops out of the back seat with a gun to his face, which is
The littlest gun ever.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
such a
adorable.
tiny,
I saw
like,
that gun and I was
don't
like, oh
move.
my god.
yeah, don't move. And my favorite line is when he goes, "Park this piece of shit."
Hey, by the way, though, park this piece of shit.
Yeah.
What's really weird, though, is I never noticed it until I watched it this last time. Like, Beck and I were laughing. Yes, he has the gun to his head, and he's, like, reacting like a guy has a gun to his head, but he's not reacting to the fact that there's a doll, holding a gun to his head. He's
Yeah.
like, holy shit!
Yeah, that's why I was like, could he not see him? That's why I was like, is the mirror thing like supposed to be like he's like trying to look to see if he could see behind, you know?
I think that through the whole process of seeing the dude get electrocuted,
Yeah.
he's accepted it now. It's like,
Yeah.
This
Oh, this
doll,
is
it's possible that this
Yeah,
doll
that's
is
true.
possessed.
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to piece it together for you guys.
But the cool thing happens, and he's like, please don't kill me. But Chucky pops out with a plastic bag, a good guy. I did enjoy that he is known to be a strangler, Charles Lee Ray. So it kind of goes back to him. Like, well, he kind of strangles and smothers him with, like, that plastic bag.
Having
So-
a great time.
and just having the best time. He has his arms, the assistant's arms, like tied up with like jump rope.
He chose the slow suffocation of a plastic bag,
Yeah.
which tells me he's sick.
Oh, yeah.
This guy, he enjoys it. He doesn't want to just kill people. He wants to kill people, but he wants to enjoy it.
He makes it a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good for him.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that night, Chucky actually finds Andy's home, like his new foster home, and we see that he's like running through the street, like from behind a tree, over into like the foster home, and that's when we cut to upstairs, and Mrs. Simpson is reading Andy a bedtime story of Hansel and Gretel, and Andy asks Mrs. Simpson to sing to him, and she actually hums instead. Like, she doesn't even sing. Like, she's just like, hum, hum, and like just humming like some random tune, like I don't even know. As this is going on, Chucky is downstairs and he starts smashing up the Tommy doll, like the fake good guy doll that popped out of the closet.
No one hears it either.
Yeah.
Hug
Loud.
this.
Yeah. He's just like bop, 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 and he uses the antique to smash up the face.
Yeah,
So
no one heard it.
yeah, and it seemed pretty durable to smash up the face.
2 or 3 hits in, yeah,
Yeah.
it was gonna survive.
Yeah.
But that 4th hit, yeah,
That
it broke
did it
it.
in.
Yeah.
And so then he carries the Tommy doll to the backyard and he ends up throwing it, like he buries it.
Buries it underneath the swing set.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
for the record, for all you Rugrat fans out there, Chucky killed Tommy.
Yeah, you did.
Oh
Oh
my god.
God.
I'm not gonna sleep tonight.
I made it weird.
Broke my The next morning, Mr. Simpson confronts Kyle and Andy about the statue and ends up grounding both of them. He's like, admit to doing this, and they're like, I didn't do it. Andy's like, I didn't do it. And he's like, okay, you're both grounded. And which
Oh, fuck you both. You're great.
yeah, fuck you both. So
I'm not gonna take an 18-year-old's word over a 4-year-old. Or how old is he? 6.
he's probably like 10.
4.
Yeah,
right?
10.
Yeah.
Regardless.
He's a tall 4.
He's a hard 4. We see the two. They're doing laundry, and Andy tells a terrible joke.
My favorite scene of the movie. This
it
was
really?
my favorite scene of the movie.
Before
Yes.
you
Go ahead.
get into
Go-
it,
you-
just
go
'cause
ahead.
this
You
is
get
this is
to it
more of
now.
like an over kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just a question. Why are Kyle's chores that are like a stereotypical 1950s housewife, and Andy's chores are to, well, bug her, I guess.
He's to watch her do it.
She had like that little thing in her hair, and she's like
Yeah.
pinning up sheets and doing
Yeah.
laundry. I don't know.
Folding clothes. And this is he's like, hey, you want to see me say your name backwards? And she's like, sure. And then he just like turns around. He's like, Kyle. And I'm like, that's awful.
And then she says, "Hold my cigarette, child."
Yes.
Which was my favorite part in the movie, because I can't remember a time when you would just hand a child a cigarette.
Yeah.
And it was okay.
Yeah.
And it was at that point in time in our lives.
I kind of okay, so I enjoyed it too, but just for the like
It's
the reason.
unethical and improper, and
No.
you can't do that now.
I just liked when she's like, he takes like a hit of like the cigarette,
He takes
and
a
he's
drag.
like, right, and she's like, why'd you do that? He's like, I just wanted to taste.
And you know, it's funny too because
Great line.
after
Never
that,
can say that.
I just
wanted
want to
to
say that from now on for everything. I just wanted to taste. It's like, EJ, why'd you do that crack? I just wanted to taste.
she's like, try this. And she hands him like a tourniquet. And a syringe.
Yeah. What is that? Oh, it's marijuana. You don't want none of this. Oh, really? Why?
Is it from Walk Hard?
Yeah, walk hard. Dewey Cox.
Turns all your negative feelings into positive ones. It's a nightmare.
Yeah. Is it addictive? No, this is non-habit forming.
It's like, it's probably expensive. It's the cheapest,
Cheapest
drug there is.
You don't want none of this shit. But anyways, so we cut over. Andy overhears the Simpsons talking about him and decides to pick up the good guy doll and show them that he is not afraid. Like, so he grabs he hears them and he walks over, picks up now what is Chucky, and he's like, hey guys, I'm gonna go play outside. And so he takes the Chucky doll to go out and hang out by the swing set.
And they're like, he's even more disturbed than we thought.
I know, right?
We don't know what's going on with this
What
kid.
is up with this kid?
He's all over the place.
So that genuinely made me sad. This kid was almost killed by this doll last year, and he's so pent on getting the affection and love from this family that he's gonna, you know what? I'm gonna play with this doll that might fucking kill me.
Yeah.
That's how
It's
desperate
like a
he is for love.
triggering thing, and he's just like, I want to impress this family, and he goes and
I'll play with it.
Oh, go outside.
I'm gonna go have fun outside and play with this doll, and it's gonna be the best day of my life.
It made me sad that he had to make that decision.
It would make us feel more comfortable, Andy, if you
played
played with the doll outside, but also took these newspaper clippings of Charles Lee Ray and his murder stories.
And here's a picture of your mom in a straitjacket. Just if you could put that on your dream board.
We actually have some live footage of your mother ranting and raving in the institution about a night that we all know you're clearly lying
We're gonna
about.
watch that later instead of going to Blockbuster. We're just gonna watch her.
We're just going to watch your mother lose her mind.
It's
Oh, is that a
footage.
tear? Is that a tear, Andy? Are you not over it? Well, maybe you don't get to live here.
You know, he's like, please let me live here.
We're not only going to need you to play with the doll, but we're also going to need you to juggle this cobra.
We need to
It's gonna
see
bite you.
playing.
Yeah. Here's a picture of Eddie Caputo. Remember him from the first one?
Here's all the Lakeshore Stranglers victims.
Yeah. So he starts asking Kyle about Andy goes outside and he starts asking Kyle about her family. Like, hey, do you remember your family? What was it like? And then they're kind of like just chatting over the grave of the Tommy doll, basically, which is kind of hilarious. So they're like on the swing set and they're going back and forth over like the grave area of like that Tommy doll.
As
And
they're kicking back and forth.
Yeah.
Each time they go, they're taking just a little layer off to expose what's there.
Yeah, and you see like
You know, Chuck, if
kinda
you went
like-
out 20 more feet into the yard, that wouldn't have happened.
I know, he's just like under the swing set.
Where's the worst place I can bury this?
So that night, Chucky wakes up Andy, and he pretty much like hog ties him to the bed and begins to play hide the soul. So they get interrupted by Kyle, which leads to so as Chucky is like, "Ande ambula, give me the power I beg
I
of
believe the
you."
line is, "A day do
Do
a
a
dumbala.
dumbala. Yeah.
Give me the power I This
Beg
isn't
of
over,
you.
you little shit."
Yeah. And then so Kyle kind of like he hears Kyle like coming up, sneaking into her room.
I need to know something.
or into Andy's room. Yeah.
I need to talk about that moment. Why was Kyle out in the bushes outside of Andy's bedroom?
I don't know. I
know,
really
she's
don't
just
know.
coming through
Maybe
his
I put
window
too
for
much-
no reason.
Yeah. Yeah, she's just like, hey, what's up?
Maybe she got lost.
You know,
Maybe she just watched Clarissa Explains It
Oh
All.
my God, that's in my notes.
Shut up.
I
Are you
said
serious?
no. I seriously put like she dresses like Clarissa, but she enters the house like Sam.
Get out of here.
EJ.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
No.
Nah.
Come on, you
No,
should-
no. So Kyle enters, and so Chucky just like stops what he's doing, and he's pretty much sitting on top of Andy, and he's like, he starts to freak out, and Kyle is like, what the hell's going on? And then the Simpsons come in, and they're like, what are you doing? And that night, we see, the foster parents are pretty much freaking out, especially the dad. I feel like the dad is just like Mr. Simpson, Phil as his first name. He's basically like, give me that doll. So he does. That's when he like throws it into the basement, right?
I'll fix this. I will throw it down 17 steps, and that is all I will do.
Yeah.
We will end it there.
Yeah, and so he
Everyone
throws it down
like
the
in that
stairs.
house just gives like minimal effort to get rid of that doll.
This kid is like, it killed my mother. Okay, it tried to kill me. Can we do just give me a little bit of effort, please?
It just seems like a lot of the issues in this family would be resolved if somebody could just get that doll
Just talk.
out of the house.
Yeah, just like take it out, So the dad, Phil Simpson, throws the doll down the stairs, and that's when we see Chucky gets like a bloody nose. He's like, "Shit, I'm turning human," and which is a theme from the first
Go
one.
ahead, Rory, because I know you want to get in on
No,
this.
I just love the way you read that.
Yeah, no, it's just like,
I'm turning human.
and which is the weird exposition that they left out from the first one. Oddly enough, is in the first movie, Chucky has like a limited time to
Be a doll
transfers.
before he
Yeah.
has to do the voodoo thing, and
Yeah.
I'm just guessing he has to do
Exactly.
a voodoo thing before a certain amount of time. Otherwise,
human.
he's stuck in the doll's body.
Exactly.
So he's trying this entire. I'm assuming episode 1 or
Child's Play one.
Child's
Episode
Play.
1.
Episode
So
1.
Chucky Binks.
So I'm assuming Child's Play was just this guy trying
Phantom
to
doll?
transfer his soul into the kid.
Yeah.
So no, I won't get into how did he transfer his soul into the doll. I have to watch that. That's
Yeah.
not a you problem. That's a me problem.
Yeah. No, but basically, yeah, the first movie, he's pretty much mortally wounded, right? Like Charles Lee Ray gets shot. He's pretty much dying from like the gunshot. So he ends up putting his soul into one of the good guy dolls. And then that's when he finds out, he's like, oh, this is great. I could be a doll. But the guy that taught him it is like, oh, you only have a certain
So
amount
much
of times before you start.
You're stuck in this spot.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it.
And then he finds out the first person you ever revealed your true self to,
Yeah,
you
that's-
have to put it into that
into their
person,
body.
which is Andy.
Okay.
Just a bunch of plot.
It's just a bunch of plot. But it's one of those things.
And
that,
again, dumb but fun.
yeah,
it was
no,
fun.
it's
No,
fun.
it's
Yeah.
like really fun because it gives Chucky agency.
Yeah.
And
Right.
again, I'm not shitting on this. I understand why there was sequel after sequel after sequel after sequel. Roy was trying to explain to me, it was like one-liners that this guy was just throwing at you, one after another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's-
you're not wrong. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
It's Brad
so
Dourif's commitment to that character.
Yeah.
There's something about that voice and that doll that
It-
works so perfectly.
it
Like, it just
fits.
feels like a
It
real
fits.
character.
It honestly-
it
it
doesn't
fits.
feel like a special effect.
No.
Like it just feels as real as like Alex Vincent or
Yeah, it's incredible.
Ginny or Guther. I don't know how you say her name, but she's in American Werewolf in London.
Ginny Agutter?
Or Gut-
I
oh,
got her?
I don't know.
Ginny Agutter, maybe?
Nurse from American Werewolf in London.
Yeah,
which
I
is
love
another
her
one
in
of the
that movie.
greatest movies of all time. But that's
Yeah.
a different thing altogether.
What is that? American Werewolf
in London?
Never
Ooh.
saw it.
Oh.
Is that a thing?
Next on
I
FREAKQUELS.
don't!
Nah, yeah.
No!
I watched that movie so much. It's one of my favorites.
As far as I know, my father didn't like horror movies, but that was I think his favorite horror movie, American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, it was so good. So the next day, Andy's walking with Kyle to the school bus, and Andy is pretty much like treated like Forrest Gump
I love it.
on this
He's
bus.
I have that in my notes too.
Yeah, what? That he's treated like Forrest
I
Gump?
just said I
It's
wanted
like
one of those
seats
kids to go seats
taken.
taken.
Seats
Oh my
taken.
God, yes.
Can't
Yes.
sit here.
Can't sit
Except,
here.
except
Sights
I mean, I
taken.
kind of made it. I kind of ruined it because I said I wish one of those ugly kids said
Yeah.
seats taken.
The ugly is unnecessary, but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And there's at least like 4 paper balls that are thrown at Andy's head
Yeah.
and directly hit it.
He's just like never did anything to anyone.
He's literally walking.
Hey, we don't know you. We're
Yeah, they're like bam,
The-
bam.
They're just
bam.
You don't even know me. You don't even know my name.
And Andy
tormenting
just
the
puts up
poor
with it,
kid
man.
for existing.
So at school, Andy gets his ear flicked by a bully, and this is my favorite. One of my favorite lines. He's like, "Get lost, microchip." How badass is Andy in
I
that?
know.
Micro.
Chip. Yeah.
Yeah.
I never heard that before.
Movie idea. Microchimp.
Yeah. Get lost, microchimp.
Microchimp is like a robotic chimp.
Yeah.
Microchimp.
Yeah.
Can we
And
make that movie?
let's do it. Let's write it tonight. Right now.
Okay.
After
Bye.
this
Programming is bananas.
Yeah. No, so at school, this bully flicks his ear. He's like, "Get lost, microchip." And the teacher actually ends up scolding Andy, not the bully. And she's like, "Are you going to interrupt story time? I really don't have the patience for that kind of stuff." And Andy's like, "Oh, I'm sorry." So she's like going through the papers at one point.
This is like every reason why I love Chucky. It's just
Yeah.
the grouping of these words.
Yeah. So she's like going through the papers at one point, and it's all like the school projects that the kids were working on throughout the day. And she gets to Andy's paper and it says, "Fuck you, bitch," on it.
Her face too when she sees it. She's just like,
Yeah. What? Yeah.
he's in trouble.
So the teacher literally grabs Andy and she's like, you're not allowed to play with the doll. Because again, like the Chucky doll kind of like pops out. So she grabs the doll, throws it into the closet, and then she herself locks Andy into the classroom and just like walks down to call Mr. and Mrs. Simpson. Meanwhile, in the classroom, Andy gets up and he like makes his way to the closet, and then he hears it is Chucky freaking banging on the door and stuff.
Before we get to that part, though, she's like yelling at him, and then
Yeah.
he kind of just like looks over to the toy chest, and she's like, "Oh no toys," and she takes one toy and
Yeah.
throws it in the closet.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay, there's some other good stuff here.
Yeah.
Is this Connect 4?
Yeah. And so Andy gets freaked out, and he literally pries like a window open. And Chucky is funny because he's kind of like begging Andy. He's like, "Come on, buddy, let me out of here." And but Andy makes a run for it out the window. And then we have where the teacher comes back, and she hears a commotion from the closet. So she goes to look around, like inspect the noise. And as she's looking around, through the clothes and the different like I guess like recess equipment and stuff, she literally gets stabbed. Like Chucky pops out and stabs her with an air pump into the chest.
Jump scare with a yes.
Yeah,
Jump
how'd
scare
that work?
with the air pump.
So she falls to the floor, and we get this another. I have to give credit to the composer again. The awesome score of like the bells ringing, and it sounds like children's music, almost like a circus type theme that the show kind of uses now, like
when
the TV show.
Like when he's whipping her with the
Yeah, like as he's coming out of the closet with the ruler,
dude, it's so
and that
awesome.
music is playing. It's like the
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it's so awesome.
yeah, and it's so good. And I feel like that him walking out of the closet with the ruler, like and saying,
It's a great Chucky moment.
"You've been really naughty, Mrs. Kettlewell." Yeah, and he's like, I think that's one of the most iconic Chucky things of all time. It's kind of like in terms of like when you think of Child's Play, that particular scene always like really stands out for me. It's almost like the Michael Myers like sitting up for the first time. I feel like that, like him walking out with the ruler. That's
your reaction is correct.
That's when he grabbed the ruler. I thought that's kind of what makes him a badass.
By the way, when he actually starts whipping her with the ruler, I thought the most perfect way to end that scene is "School's out for summer."
Yeah. Oh my God,
That
that would have been
awesome.
so good.
We forgot. I don't know.
Please don't sue us, Alice Cooper.
Yeah.
You're assuming that someone from Alice Cooper's camp is at some point going to listen to this.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, I will get this to Alice Cooper.
Okay, good.
Alice
You're
Cooper,
gonna have,
like Mike Myers says, do
mi-
these guys know how to party or what?
You're gonna have to send it to Milwaukee.
Milwaukee.
Milwaukee. We have to go back because there is a point when they get pulled over in the car. Are we there yet?
No.
Not yet.
No. I'm sorry. I thought
Hold
that
your
was-
horses.
I'm sorry, guys.
Hold your horses.
That was one of my favorite parts of the movie. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. Me too.
What's your name,
So-
little fella? Chucky.
Chucky. Yeah, it's so good.
Not
But
sure
yeah,
about
so Andy tells the Simpsons what happened, and Mr. Simpson doesn't believe him. And to prove it, he has Andy open the basement door, and they see the doll was thrown, like laying in the same spot that it was thrown. And so then Andy overhears the Simpsons arguing over him and how messed up he might be as a kid. And Kyle gives him some like comforting words.
It's so like they're like yelling. He's like, "He's not our child."
Yeah.
And my parents would argue about me in the same way when I was growing up, and I wasn't even adopted.
He's not our child.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
But that night, Andy is raiding the kitchen for a good weapon. It's kind of very much like Pulp Fiction when Butch is like looking for like the perfect weapon to use on Zed. And so he's like
one of
looking.
my favorite scenes in any movie of all time.
Pulp Fiction.
Every item he picks up is better than the next item.
I love he gives like a couple tries with everything too. And it's so good.
It's not good.
Yeah.
It also kind of reminded me, just framing wise, a little bit of Halloween with the opening up the drawer.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And so
Oh my God, we're getting to one of my favorite lines ever. Go ahead.
he ends up going with like an electric knife or like kind of like a carver. And
A turkey knife that they would use on Thanksgiving,
Yes.
specifically to to carve the
NBAs.
turkey.
Yeah.
I know that knife. I love that knife.
Yeah, it's a good
I think we
knife.
all had that knife growing up.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was
We
made.
did.
It was manufactured from 1983 to 1988, and if you have one, it was manufactured in that time period. They
Did you just
stopped making
make
it.
those dates up?
Next
Mostly.
question. Next question.
Okay.
Check you
All
right now.
right. No, so he goes to the basement. Andy goes to the basement looking for the Chucky doll, looking, to finally take it out. And as he's like looking, Chucky actually pops out, and they start fighting on the floor, and they're like going back and forth. And that's when Mr. Simpson wakes up, and he turns on the light to the basement, and he starts to make his way down, and he's yelling at
He
Andy.
just sees Andy down there holding like a
Yeah.
knife.
Yeah.
A serrated knife that is electronic, and yeah.
Yeah. So he's like, what are you doing down there? So he's making his way down, and as he's making his way down, Chucky is actually behind the stairwell, and he has like a kind of hook type
Like a-
of staff.
Is it,
I don't
now,
know.
is it like one of those fireplace pokers?
Is
or
it a
something,
poker,
or
maybe?
something akin to it?
Yeah.
I don't
maybe
know.
Maybe it is a fireplace.
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's not one of the tools I use to kill people.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but he ends up.
Hey, if anybody at home knows what exactly that tool is, please do not write to us because we don't care what you
We
have to
don't
say. We don't want to hear
know.
from you.
So, anyways, we get where Chucky kind of hooks up Phil's feet, and Phil falls, and he's like hanging upside down.
How's it hanging, Phil?
How's it hanging, Phil?
It's so
yeah,
funny.
so good.
Like Chucky, like we haven't talked too much about this, but I'm telling you this in my notes multiple times, and I've skipped over it. It just says Chucky is wonderful. Chucky, what a stinker.
Yeah, so I remember when I first saw this, and I saw Phil hanging upside down, and he's
Bring
like,
it up, man.
how's it hanging, Phil? I cracked up laughing. I was like, I'm a little kid, and why do I find this so funny?
It's essentially a dad joke.
Yeah.
Kinda.
How's it hanging, Phil?
That's 100% a dad joke.
Yeah.
How's it hanging? It's so funny.
Because it's perfect timing, and the joke is told to you by a fucking doll.
Chucky ends up letting go, and he ends up killing Phil. He lands and breaks his neck. And so, and it looks, the way they filmed it looks so gruesome. It just looks like so odd,
Yeah,
like the
like
way he
lands on
lands.
his- yeah.
Oh, it's
It-
so good.
It does look gruesome, but I would just like to point out again, just because I'm that guy, your typical basement that you can stand up in is going to have 12 steps maximum. Okay?
Yeah.
So he had to be on maybe the 10th or the 9th step when Chucky grabbed a hold of him and fell over. So if he's 6 foot tall and he's 9 feet minus 2 feet, he's only like 4 feet off the ground. So if he were to fall, he wouldn't break his neck.
But you committed to the fact that the doll was alive.
Rory, you're not helping my argument at all.
This
We're
movie is about a
bypassing-
killer
we're
doll
not
with
bypassing-
voodoo, and I think your
and
math is right.
tchotchkes?
Tchotchkes.
Suspend that disbelief, man.
Yeah, yeah,
And
man.
you know what? That's fair. That's a fair argument.
Let the movie take you away somewhere.
and
you
let's
know
be
why?
silly.
Because it stops me from screaming all day long, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm screaming, I pop a movie and it medicates it.
Yeah, if we
Yeah.
didn't laugh,
Temporarily.
we would cry. So yeah, I feel that.
I cry all the time until I
Take the
pop
medicine.
Chucky in.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So no, Mrs. Simpson, she starts to lose it, and she's packing up Andy's suitcase, and she's like, "Oh my God, Phil was right. We should have gotten rid of this
Yeah,
kid."
she yells, "Get away from me!" at that little boy.
Yeah. At one point, she's like, "Get away from me!"
She's
stay,
like,
or
"Get
stay away from
away
me.
from me."
Stay away from me.
Yeah.
Not get away from me. It's like stay. Like she's afraid of Andy.
But,
Yeah.
but you know, if I had a nickel for every time a date ended like that for me, I
You
would
have
have
$45.
no. I would actually have. If I had a nickel for every time a date ended like that, I would have $0 because they never made it to the end. That's staying in the podcast.
That is in. Yeah, so she's like, get away from me. But we also see where she's like packing up Andy's suitcase. And
How much shit could he possibly have? He's been there a day.
Did
Yeah,
you find it
exactly.
weird that she started packing like good guy dolls into a suitcase?
yes. She's like, take this and this and this. But she and Andy is getting picked up by the head of the orphanage, the one lady that we said it looks like your typical mom friend. And Andy warns Kate about, or warns Kyle about Chucky. He's like, make sure to stay away from him, and watch out for Chucky. So Kyle goes and she takes Chucky.
Wait, did you find it weird when when everyone's mom's best friend?
Yeah.
When she was just like, we placed Kyle with a number of families.
Yeah.
And then she tagged that with, because no one could ever love her either. Do you remember that part?
Yeah, I thought that was very tasteful.
Yeah. it was harsh. Harsh movie.
Hard.
Even Chucky winced. He was like,
Yeah.
ooh.
But yeah, so Kyle takes Chucky from the basement, and she actually throws him outside into a trash can, which
Progress.
which is progress for this family. And so as she's smoking on the swing, she's going back and forth, swinging back and forth, and she notices the shoe of the Tommy doll
As
being
she's dragging
unearthed.
her feet. As
Yeah.
she's dragging her feet back and forth, she's taking a layer off each swing back and forth.
Unearthing, yeah, like the Tommy doll. So she picks it up.
And Chucky says to her, you think you had a bad day.
Yeah. So she realizes Andy might actually be telling the truth. So she goes to check
Is that
on the
the
Chucky doll.
equivalent of the batteries falling out of the box in the first movie?
Yeah, and I love that they kind of referenced this. I skipped over it earlier on, but when he goes to look at the Tommy doll for
He
the
takes
first time,
he takes
checks
the back of
batteries.
the thing off and
Yeah.
takes the battery cover off and looks to see if the batteries are. So
Yeah.
can you explain to that?
And
really
also,
quick?
for
Yeah,
the-
that's from the first movie. Andy's mom. That's like a big moment in the first one. She finally
great
is like,
moment.
yeah, she's like, let me just check. So she takes off his like little suspenders and lifts up the shirt. She sees there's no batteries, and he turns his head around and
That's how she finds out that he's like
Yeah.
alive. No, but
Ah,
it's much better. Much better.
you dumb
the
bitch.
very-
And he's like,
The very first time Chucky says anything,
Yeah.
it's like the best movie moment ever.
yeah, it's a huge
stupid
moment.
bitch.
You stupid bitch! I'm gonna fucking kill you. And he's like, you
Teach
just
you
see
to
his
fuck
head
with
like
me.
going like this, and he's like, his hands are going like
Dude,
this. and
just
his head
watch
is
the
going-
first movie for that
Yeah,
moment.
it's so good.
It like stops your heart. It's so funny.
So yeah, this would be like that batteries moment for Kyle, where she's like, she looks in the garbage can and she sees the doll is missing. So she goes into the house, and she's fully aware, like, this
knows
might
what's up.
be, yeah, like this might be a killer doll, like, and so
This may be a killer doll scenario.
so
I've
better
dealt with
take-
this before.
Yeah. And so she's like going through, and she finds that cool looking knife, which is pretty much Chucky's weapon.
And right
Later
very-
on, but-
and alongside, I know you guys didn't catch this, but I sure did. On the wall, there's a real cool cat calendar. So in my notes, I wrote, "Cool cat calendar."
Yeah.
Moving on.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Moving on.
on.
So the knife, is that always, and I always wonder this, is this a call to Halloween? Is this a call because it's almost like that knife is symbolic?
Yeah.
Is that a thing in horror movies?
I don't
or
think
I
so.
think she's
Like,
just trying to protect herself.
yeah, I think she like ends up grabbing
But
that,
I
and
feel like it's always that knife, though. Do you know what I mean?
yeah, it looks iconic.
It's
It
that knife.
definitely does. Yeah.
And I
But-
know the batteries were dead on the turkey cutter. So,
Yeah.
so
They did a number on the laundry
Yeah.
when Andy's like,
Into the dryer.
yeah.
I like how he just kind of like lifts it up. And,
Yeah. So so Kyle she like digs through the closet, she finds that knife, like this iconic knife, and she starts to make her way upstairs, and she's like going as slow as she can, and then she starts to call out for the foster mother, Joanne. So she's like, Joanne, and then we hear something going at like a pretty steady pace, right? It's like tick, 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 and then it seems to go faster, like a tick, 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 tick. And so when she walks into the room, she sees Joanne, and she makes her way over to the sewing machine, and when she turns Joanne around, we see Joanne is dead. So Chucky ends up popping out at Kyle, and they struggle, and she drops the knife, and as soon as she drops the knife, she sees it on the floor and she's about to grab it. And another cool moment where Chucky's little hand reaches out from under the bed and grabs it instead. And so he ends up pretty much getting the best of Kyle and having Kyle drive him to the orphanage now.
The premise of, and this is like a horror movie trope, of whatever is under the bed is, I think, more terrifying than anything else because it's little. You don't know if you could handle it. It could pop out at any moment whatsoever. It's going to get your ankles, could get your Achilles. I don't know what's going to happen, but I love the idea of something little under the bed is terrifying to me.
Yeah.
I would rather a giant ghost, ghoul, goblin, vampire, whatever, a huge one that I could see than something little under the bed that could just get me.
Yeah.
Like my weird little uncle that used to hide under my bed. And
No, that's
grab my
different. That's
ankles.
a different thing, and that's why we're going to therapy.
Oh,
Okay? We'll talk our way through it.
Next episode of Freakquels, we'll talk
That's-
about my progress.
We can't air
We're going
any
to
of
unpack
that.
all of it,
We can't
all of
air
it?
any of it.
but we're going to unpack it anyways.
I don't know if I
Just
can
like
finish
Andy's
this
little
podcast.
suitcase. No, I feel like Chucky, that's what's so frightening about him, because he could be anywhere because he's so tiny
compact.
and he couldn't hide anywhere. You know, where most like horror villains are 6 foot, 7 foot guys
Is
and
this a
they're
crazy thought for me to
ginormous.
have?
No, man.
No, I
I think
it's
that's
like
where a lot, like some of the people
plays
that I've
into the
met
fears.
that actually have like a fear of Chucky. I think that's part of it.
Is the size. Yeah.
Yeah, because like, you know, it's like in the beginning of the movie how he just kind of is in the back seat and he kind of just like rises up. You know, he's like this tiny little
Yeah.
thing that can just hide in your car, that can hide under your bed, that can hide. You know, you think I'm ready to make a joke, don't you?
No. I just had a call.
I got nothing. The
Oh, no,
chamber's
that's fine.
empty.
Oh, okay. No, but so as they're driving to the orphanage, we see where Kyle is like, "Oh no, we're going too fast," and the police pull out and they end up pulling over Kyle and Chucky, and so the cop, he approaches the car. He's like, "Oh, do you have your license? Where are you going to?" And Kyle is like, "A date." He's like, "Oh, you're gonna have to do better than that, right?" And then he's like, "Wait a second, is that a good guy doll?"
I'm real weird and I'm aware of these things.
Yeah. He's like, "Hey, buddy, what's your name?" Chucky. It's not even like he doesn't even like put up the front like, "Hi, I'm Chucky."
Do you think that that's like an indication that he's changed over entirely at that point?
yeah.
Because I feel like there was a moment in the film, they never really designate it, where he's no longer like, you know,
Human.
part doll,
Yeah.
part human. I feel
Yeah.
like, do you think that right around that point is when he had just kind of shifted over?
Yeah, you know what? That probably is it. Like instead of like going like to the
Hi, I'm
manufacturer
Chucky.
kind of like good guy quote, you know?
Chucky.
Yeah, Chucky.
Oh my
Yeah.
God! By the way, I didn't even get to bring this up before. Another part that kills me. I'm sorry, we're backtracking.
That's okay.
It's the part when Andy is trying to feel out the new Chucky doll, like the Tommy doll. He literally goes, "Hi, I'm," and then he thinks about it. Tommy.
Yeah.
Like his eyes
I'm-
dart to the side. It's so
He
funny.
had to think about it.
Yeah,
He wasn't
he's
sure.
like, "I bashed
Hi,
that fucking thing
I'm
in. What is it called
Tommy."
again?" Yeah.
Like,
What's that stupid
that's
fucking
like
doll's name again?
such a funny little moment.
Yeah, I'm Tommy. It's so good. But so at the orphanage, we see Andy is packing up his little suitcase to try to make a run for it, and then back at the car, Kyle is buckling up for safety, and she actually hits the brakes, sending Chucky flying through the front of the windshield, and which is one of my favorite quotes of Chucky's, when he's like, "Goddamn women drivers," and
Goddamn lady drivers.
yeah, and but as she attempts to like run him over, and then she's like, "Oh no, Andy," and then she tries to get away, but her attempt, she fails. So back at the orphanage, a fire alarm goes off, and we see Andy's like making his way down the stairs, and that's when he sees Kyle at the bottom of the stairs with the Chucky doll in her arms, and so he is already alarmed, and he's like, "Oh no!" But then we see the head of the orphanage. She comes out, and she's like, "What are you doing? Did you pull the fire alarm?" So she pulls Kyle and Andy into like her office, and she's like, "Oh, I knew you were in trouble. Like, blah blah blah. You're like the one doing this." And that's when Chucky just is like, I don't have time for this. And so he literally ends up murdering her.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
He stabs her.
Yeah, he's like stabs her and then makes a couple of copies of her face.
Stop for a second. Amazing. That's so funny.
It's so good. And so he ends up killing the lady.
You act like you've never seen a dead body before.
Yeah, that's another great line. Too,
Yeah,
where
because
Andy is like,
I like watched it the last time, and I'm like, man, Chucky really ruined this kid's life.
yeah, right. It's like, you act like you've never seen a dead body before. It's
It's
like,
like,
oh
like
my
you remember in
God.
the first movie when he's just making his mom breakfast?
yeah, that's triggering.
Trail of blood and
Yeah.
body parts
Yeah.
that kid's had to travel.
But yeah, no. So Chucky, they break away from Kyle, and so Chucky kidnaps Andy, and they hop into the back of like a newspaper van, and Kyle is like, "Oh no!" And she runs to the car, which is not even like a block away. I was like,
So close.
So her crashing the car, like, and like
The
going
fact-
back and forth,
when-
trying to hit Chucky, happened all outside the orphanage, like 10 feet away.
When she originally crashed the car and then she
Yeah.
goes in, I'm like, oh, there's nowhere. How is she gonna do it? And then she goes right back to the car. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah. I
What
was
she-
like, this all happened right
Did
there.
she mark that on her iPhone? All right, I parked my car here.
Yeah.
So if I need to come back and I'm attacked by a doll, I know where my car
Wait,
is.
yeah.
only
It's
like
a
10 feet
hell
away.
of a neighborhood.
Yeah.
Because we've got the orphanage, the newspaper place, and then the doll factory all in the same block.
Well, no, they're in the car for a little bit of it.
It's kind of mean sticking the little toy doll factory next to all the orphans.
Yeah.
Look
Well,
what,
it's
look
gotta
what
be-
you can't have.
Yeah. So
This is what could have been, but you can't. Sorry.
But yeah, one thing I was thinking about, and I was like, oh man, I think they missed out on it. Maybe is Chucky like at an orphanage, right? As a movie, that would have been
Like-
really cool
Well,
to
that's-
watch.
yeah.
Like the guy,
You know,
the
like
original,
a cool setting,
the
Yeah.
original character, like whoever possessed.
like the Chucky doll. It
who's
goes
the
to this
guy?
orphanage.
Brad Dourif.
Brad Dourif, Charles
You
Lee
know, I
Ray.
know him
No,
as
no, is that
in
the-
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
he
but
was
no.
Wormtongue.
Is that the character or is that the killer? What's the,
the
name of the
killer's
killer?
Charles Lee Ray.
Charles Lee Ray?
So, has there ever been a prequel of him being a child?
Well, in the TV show,
Can
they kind
we
of touch
write-
on
Yeah,
it
they
now.
show like little. You know,
Yeah.
All right, can we rewrite that? Because I feel like you would crush that.
that'd be cool.
Yeah.
It would
Can we
be
make
so
that
good.
movie?
Yeah, well,
Should
I
that be
would
our
love
side
to
project?
see like a child's play take place in like an orphanage type of setting.
Imagine like a 5-year-old kid in those overalls with that fucking shirt.
Yeah,
Like an actual 5-year-old kid.
that would be hilarious, actually. But
I go terrifying.
Actually, you know
go
what? Andy
hilarious.
wears that
Thank you.
outfit in the first
yeah,
movie.
Andy wears it in the first movie.
Yeah, he's like,
All right, apparently I got to watch that first movie, guys.
yeah,
I'm
well, come
sorry.
on, get on the Chucky train, buddy.
I want to watch this one.
So, but back to the movie. Yeah, Kyle ends up chasing them to the good guy factory, and seriously, this, like I said earlier, is probably one of the best climaxes in like a horror movie ever.
Even
movie.
before they get there, one of the greatest line deliveries ever was that newspaper driver.
Oh,
Crazy bitch! Crazy bitch! So good.
it's so good. So Chucky is trying to do his transfer, like his soul into Andy, and he gets all the way through the spell, and he realizes it doesn't work. And the reason is he can't ever transfer out because he is now trapped in the doll body.
He is past the point of no return,
Right.
which was set when? When did they set that? That was one of
But
the things that confused me. Did they set that in the first movie, that he has a specific time
No, I think
frame?
it's just a point where like the body like combines with being the doll.
Yeah.
I think there's just like a point, like a process within the body when it's like the doll parts slowly start becoming human. Of course, I'm just making up a bunch of shit because the movie never told me nothing.
No, but Chucky, as he just finishes and he realizes he's pretty much stuck. As he's like figuring this out, we see a bunch of Chucky, like good guy dolls topple over onto him.
What the hell?
What the hell?
It's a really funny reading.
And so, and it was Kyle. She like pushed over these like dolls onto him. So her and Andy kind of like make a break for it while Chucky's like climbing out of the dolls.
So she attempted to run him over with a car. That didn't work. So she thought just pushing a couple of dolls on top of him.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Hey, you never know what works. That's what's great about horror movies. You don't know what works.
That's what killed my buddy.
But my buddy.
Please don't sue us, Fisher Price.
But the cool
Again,
thing,
you're assuming that people are going to listen to this, which I think is hilarious.
Someone's listening.
yeah, my buddy is listening.
Some person's listening right now.
Is it Hasbro that was my buddy, or was it like Mattel? I don't even know.
It was
I have no idea.
My buddy. That's what
My
it was.
buddy.
All right, guys, come on, let's move on.
sister.
Go
Okay.
ahead. Kid
So-
sister. Kid sister.
Kid sister and me.
So
Be decapitated in a haunted house.
Come on, don't talk about our early childhood traumas.
So throughout this climax, we actually see Chucky get disassembled by the factory.
Whoa, wait. Before, like when he does the thing with the knife?
which is
And okay. The cage goes down on his hand, right?
on the conveyor belt. Yeah,
And he rips his hand off.
so
and
good.
then they run away, and he says the line, "I'm gonna get you fuckers." And I'm like, he's so perfectly white trash. Like Chucky is so like that character. I'm telling you, it's perfectly drawn. Yeah, it's amazing. I also just love the "I hate kids" when he's looking at the knife.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's so good.
And so we see where throughout this whole climax, like Chucky's pretty much getting torn apart by the factory that builds good guy dolls, which I thought was kind of like hilarious.
Yeah, that's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Not to mention, he's so determined on killing that he creates, his hand gets ripped off, and he creates a device, a stabbing device.
Out of his hand and
That's
knife.
that's a killer right there for me.
Yeah.
So that's terrifying. So yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I did
I
too.
was in
I
on
thought that was
100%.
awesome. And so after he makeshifts his knife into where his hand was, right? Chucky also takes out another good guy employee.
Yeah, it's the security guard / maintenance man.
Yeah.
Can I mention that as soon as I saw the eye input device, if that's what you want to call it,
Yeah.
I knew exactly. I knew what was coming.
Yeah.
From as soon as I saw the device, I said, I know what's going to happen at the end of this movie.
Yeah. I feel like the director's like, oh, that's too good of a kill. We
It's
have to
so
use.
good.
Someone has to die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got notes. Rory's got notes.
I got when I was watching the movie the other night, and I saw the eyes get shoved into the man's head. I started laughing because I'm like, that guy's wife has to come in and identify him like that.
Imagine her looking at those bright blue,
like,
ice cold
that's
eyes.
him.
You shake him and his eyes Google.
He's like,
That's Tim.
like he has those eyes.
I know those eyes.
Vince, he has those eyes, like those ice blue eyes. So Chucky pops out, and they kind of push him, and he gets stapled down to like a platform that is going into like this. I don't even know what the purpose of that thing is. It's like a
form pressing device where whatever all the pieces of the doll get put together in this thing.
Yeah.
Like a form factor type thing.
Yeah. And so he is like on this conveyor belt to go into this thing, and he somehow breaks out of it, and now he's crawling around on the thing, which I love this, by the way, when he Chucky's on the little what would you call it?
And he's got like 4 arms and 3 legs.
Yeah,
and
he's like
he's
trying
just,
to like crawl.
I think that thing that you were talking about that he went into, like that oven thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a Cronenberg oven from Mattel.
Totally.
Right?
Let it sit.
Yeah.
Let it sit.
I like that.
Cronenberg oven from
yeah.
Mattel.
From Mattel. It's kind of like, remember when we were talking the one time, I was like, oh, remember we were talking about like fake toys and stuff. And I was like, yeah, the Deepwater Horizon set.
Dude, that was I laughed so hard that night. That was almost that. I remember you and I laughing like so hard when you were pitching that.
Yeah.
And then the other night that I remember us laughing to the point where like it hurt me, like my body hurt when I went home. Was the guy who started the Fund My Life?
Oh yeah,
Kickstarter.
Oh, my God. We died.
Yeah,
like,
the guy like with the bills in front of him. He's just like,
he's like, and we were at my house and literally we fell on the floor just laughing so hard at the Go Fund My Life kind of thing.
This guy can't just get it together.
Yeah, and the picture is this: like he has one arm up,
There's a bunch
a
of
hand
bills
on his head, and
stacked
he's
in front
like,
of him.
That's a teapot.
yeah, it's like a teapot stance. He's like,
But there's a bunch of bills in front of him. He's just like, moving on.
So moving on, yeah. So Chucky,
Deepwater Horizon places.
So Chucky starts to like, wheel himself over towards Andy, and Andy ends up hitting this hose type, like it's like melted plastic, and just pretty much sprays Chucky with this. So he gets just hosed with this like hot plastic goop, and so Kyle's like, oh, good, you got him, and that's when Chucky pops up for the last time.
Great
and he looks
Clayface
amazing.
costume.
Yeah, he looks amazing. And actually,
does.
the whole like pile of goop, just like hot plastic goop, looks like so good.
Are you when you're watching it when she's like holding him back? Are you thinking like, man, her hands must be burning up?
Yeah, that's why I was like, her hands have to be like scarred from like touching this hot, like mess.
Chucky's just such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, and then so she ends up grabbing this tube and sticks it in his mouth, and then we get like this Cabbage Patch looking
Hot air balloon.
and he's like, and it just like ends up blowing his head up, and that's it for Chucky.
But who wore the head explosion better, Scanners or Child's Play 2?
I think Child's Play 2.
Me too.
I've seen Scanners and Child's Play 2 wins. 100%.
Yeah.
Well, okay, how about this? Child's Play 2 versus that one glorious moment in Dawn of the Dead. Kicks the door open.
Boom!
That's
Oh,
amazing.
that's a good one though too.
Dawn of the Dead's so good. Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Is that a scary movie?
What? Dawn of the Dead?
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
I'm gotta go.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that concludes our evening.
No, it is.
See
It's a
everyone.
great horror movie, and it's something we should definitely watch if you haven't watched it
Okay.
before. You are gonna like your mind will explode from how awesome it is.
Just by the name, and I'm not joking. Top 10 movies. One of my top 10 favorite movies is Shaun of the Dead.
Well,
Oh,
Shaun of the
perfect.
Dead is a love letter to the
Is
person
that Dawn
who
of the Dead?
made
Dawn
of the Dead, George Romero. His Dead
Okay.
movies, they are
So-
like top tier
So
zombie
I
watching.
loved that movie. Do I need to watch? Is there going to be a lot of shit in that? That I'm like, oh, I know that.
Probably. Dawn
Yeah.
of the Dead is a very, very
Okay.
important movie.
Yeah.
I would say important movie.
I might watch that.
Yeah.
I'll watch that without anybody's recommendation, and we're not going to talk about what the next movie is. We're not talking about it. We're
Okay.
not doing that. Okay.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, but
I'm sorry.
after
Bring
they
it
blow
on.
up his head, we see Kyle and Andy hugging it out, basically, and
Hell of a night.
They don't know where to go.
they show the exterior of the factory. And the credits are like, roll.
It's literally like we ran out of money.
We just these foster kids, any parental, yeah. It's like we ran out of money to like let you know.
Know where to go, but that's better.
Yeah, it's like, what happened to these foster kids? Like, where do they go from here? No one cares. Roll credits on the factory because that factory looks good.
We
Let's
blew
go.
our budget on the Chucky head. It just blew up everywhere.
I'm not going to lie. That observation, I didn't think about that at all.
You're welcome.
Amazing.
Yeah, you know, one thing I will say about Andy and Kyle, I love this movie, and Beck and I were talking about this before. There's a really neat thing that's explored in this movie that's not explored in a lot of horror movies, and I don't see in a lot of movies in general, the foster sibling dynamic.
Yeah.
I thought was handled really well. Like,
I
I
did
like
too.
them together as like a little ass-kicking duo.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
all
they
I
were
got.
great. I thought, you know, like for not having a built-in relationship, like we kind of see their relationship develop in this movie, and how quickly, you know, especially towards the end, she like really takes to Andy.
And it's plausible. You can
Yeah.
see that she's like, I know what you're going through. I went through what you went through. I need to protect you, type of thing.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
I always try to, with these, as stupid as they are, and again, this was dumb fun. I like to see.
Go ahead.
Okay. Hey, man, that's just
It's
like
all
your
good. It's
opinion,
all good, man. It's all good.
But no,
respect you.
I just like that dynamic of like, yeah, I went through what you went through, and I'm going to protect you. Is like instantly you get that relationship, and you can see how she would want to protect him.
yeah,
It's like,
yeah, because
and
it's
they're-
her putting herself in his
Yeah.
shoes,
Yeah.
and like, yeah,
And also, like, I guess when you're foster children, you get to choose your own family.
I don't.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that's how.
Oh, shut up. That was beautiful.
Oh,
Just shut up.
I was going to say I don't think that's.
Don't take it. No, I mean, honestly, like, you're in a world where, like, you know, like for her, for example, she just kind of is getting thrown into foster house at the foster home, and she finds family in Andy. So
Yeah,
whatever.
and I loved
Go
her
put that in your crack pipe and smoke
Hey
it.
man, I get it, and I thought it was great.
Take my stupid, overly sentimental views and
I
love
just
them.
didn't respect her trying to give him lung cancer at the age of 6.
That's true.
She's like,
I
here,
mean,
hold my
he
cigarette.
took it.
He took it. Not only did he take it,
Yeah,
he took a drag off. of it.
yeah. She wasn't like put this in your mouth and
Get that.
hold it. You know what I mean?
You don't say that to a 6-year-old.
Hold this.
Yeah.
Hold this cigarette. This bottle of beer. These old porn mags. I'm sure you'll do just the right thing with them.
It
No,
was
but-
a different time.
It was a different time.
1990s.
But no, I think their relationship, like you said, like that you guys both touched on, is really cool and not seen in a lot of movies. I feel like we don't really get to see like a dynamic like that.
You know what's interesting too is that I guess Jenna Ortega wrote that part of the script.
All right, that's a callback to the second episode.
I think so,
Episode
yeah.
2. So that's deep. That's a deep cut.
Deep
man.
cut.
Super deep cut.
We are in our
like
first
that.
season. I'm already referencing past episodes.
No, but I really, 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 really enjoyed this movie. As far as a sequel, it's a very strong sequel. You kind of touched on how you could be back and forth between the first and second movie, and I feel like that really is true. Like the first and second movie are so freaking strong. I think the first three, for me,
too.
the first three are just like perfect.
I
Like,
think like Child's Play 2 does the thing that a lot of sequels don't always do. There's a lot of great sequels out there.
Yeah.
I can name a bunch of them. But this one, I think it just builds on the best elements from the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And it just refines some of it, you know?
yeah.
Because, like, that first one is, like, a great time. Like, I think that's, like, I just rewatched it not too long ago, and it still works. That first movie is a great movie.
it's so good.
But this one, it's just kind of like, let's just take it up a step. Let's not get too goofy with it.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. I just think they, like, knocked it out of the park. But you know what's weird? We're not alone on that. Within that, like, little Child's Play community of fans, this is, like, way at the top for most people.
Yeah.
And like I originally said, I thought this was dumb fun.
I don't know if it's, I mean,
When I say dumb,
Yeah, I was
I'm
gonna
not,
say,
I'm
I
not,
don't know
I'm
if
not
you
trying
use-
to give it a negative connotation. I'm saying that you can't possibly take this seriously.
well, here's,
It's a doll.
let me give you a way to look at this. When you take different, let's say, like, story ideas, right?
Yeah.
It's like if you take something, no matter how preposterous it might seem, if you can, like, elevate it,
No,
it's a
and
great
that's-
film.
and that- but that's
Yeah.
what I'm
Great
saying.
films
That's
can
what-
exist in weird places.
That's what I enjoyed about this.
Yeah.
And again, goddamn lady drivers. I am gonna take.
women drivers.
What is the exact line? Is it goddamn woman drivers?
Yeah.
Goddamn lady drivers?
Women drivers.
Goddamn woman
yeah.
drivers. When you got into your accident, when you got rear-ended
Yeah.
2 weeks ago,
Mm-hmm.
who were you rear-ended by? Was it a male? Was it a female?
It was a male.
It was
actually.
a male.
A
So you
goddamn
didn't-
man driver.
God damn it! I was hoping. I
He
was
put
thinking
the
about
man
it.
in woman.
When I heard the line, I was like, God, how can I bring it up to EJ? And
Bring
say, bring back
his
do a
trauma.
call back to his trauma of his. God, I hope it was a woman driver. But that line
when he
sticks with
was
me.
worried about his friends and his girlfriend, bring that back up. To that
I-
moment where he's like, I might just lose everything right now. Let's just bring it back up.
Let's bring it up.
Come on, Vince.
It doesn't hurt physically.
No, it doesn't. But mentally,
To know how much you
emotionally.
love the people in the car and that they might just be ripped away from you. Yeah, bring that up, Vince.
No, I'm over that. I'm over that. EJ's over that.
Ah.
But just
I'm burying it deep.
you take all of the hurt, all of the anger, and just take it and bury it deep
yeah.
down inside.
If all you at home could see how much beer EJ's been drinking to keep those feelings down.
Yeah. It's
I've watched him crush can after can against his head.
can.
Yep.
And every one he drinks, he smashes it on his head like
Yeah.
like a rat boy.
yeah.
So overall thoughts. I know you guys don't care about my opinion on this, but again, you take it as you want it. I think that the perfect way to say it is dumb fun.
Okay.
I thought
That's
it was
fair.
dumb. Here's the high praise to this movie. I'm gonna watch the third movie.
Yeah.
Watch the
yeah.
first
Without you
movie.
guys telling me to watch the third movie,
Yeah.
I am going to watch the
Watch
third
the
movie.
first movie, then get to the third one. You're doing like a George Lucas here. You're all
Yeah,
over
you're
the
like-
you're all over the damn place.
I'm gonna do
might-
two, then
no,
3.
To be honest, I want to get to Jennifer Tilly as quickly as possible. But I'll backtrack to that. It's okay.
Yeah.
But no,
Vince
I
is
enjoyed-
literally panting right
I
now.
know. You guys, I can't keep my tongue in my mouth.
He's thirsty.
He's so thirsty. You need a water?
There's only been one that I haven't liked thus far.
What's that?
As far as movies suggest that you guys liked, I've enjoyed every single one of them.
Oh, that's
so
good.
I'm very happy with this entire experience because
Hmm.
these are all movies that I would never have watched, and you forcing me to watch them has been a lot of fun, especially this one.
No, I'm so pumped that you have been enjoying all these movies because growing up these I mean like Scream 6 is new, Halloween Ends is new,
So like
but,
Fright Night.
Fright Night and Child's Play 2 are like such a staple of like movies I love, like a deep love.
How many like hours at like a Perkins do you think we burned just talking about those two movies?
Seriously, insanely, like I can't even put a number on it because just horror movies in general, especially like the ones we grew up with.
Yeah.
There's such a deep love for them that it's like, and finding people to talk about it, like to have like, oh wow, you really know like these horror movies. It's so cool.
I always tell people this. So like like with me with movies, like I love like everything really.
Yeah.
Like I'll watch anything. I watched everything
like
from
movies?
like I know it's
Really?
weird. But like I'll watch anything from like silent films all the way up to like whatever like the BS Oscar movies are that year.
Yeah.
But horror movies were my gateway drug, true
Yep.
story, and into film. And the weirdest thing is that all of my most like important relationships and friends and everything have always stemmed from just being like, did you ever see like Halloween or like just
Yeah.
talking about movies? It definitely bonds people, and even like what we're doing together. It's like we're all like kind of laughing and
Hundo,
goofing
yeah,
off, and
that's why we're doing this. Yeah.
yeah. So it's like, I don't know. Like horror movies are kind of special. They bring people together, even at conventions. The
Yes.
nicest people you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I feel like horror movie conventions are truly magic.
So do you guys want to do your plugs and all that?
Oh yeah. So Vince, you go first.
About what?
Your plugs.
All right, so here are my plugs. This other guy, I think his name is EJ Leeson. He's on Instagram.
Yeah.
I don't know what is his at. Do you know his at?
Yeah, I do. At EJ_esque.
Okay. And
Yeah.
then I also these two guys are doing a podcast together, and I think there's an email address for the podcast
yes.
as well.
It's
Three
FREAKQUELS.
guys.
Yeah, it's 3 jacks. No.
No.
It's so for all of you out there at this point, if you're listening to this, we have posted our arsenal of episodes. If you have any requests for movies for us to talk about, keep them to yourself.
We don't want to hear it.
We don't.
We don't want to know.
Keep your shit to
Yeah,
yourself.
just everything needs to stay inside. But if you have some suggestions for real, freakquelspodcast@gmail.com. We are also open to taking some questions. I actually got one.
You have a question?
I do. Actually, weirdly enough, somebody emailed me a question about the podcast.
All right.
It's actually for Vince.
Oh,
so exciting.
Okay.
Just ruffling the papers.
So, this is coming from a man out in Arkansas.
Oh man, why did I get this question? All right.
I'm so sorry.
It's all right. I love Arkansas.
This is
Say you are about it too.
this is from the Freak Squeal fan. Okay. Freak Squeal. It says, Vince, it's common knowledge that E.J. Leeson died during the first episode due to some electrical issues that a lot of people said was your fault. What was it like having to essentially use an AI version of E.J. Leeson for the last few episodes?
It's been pretty easy. Next question.
Okay. Well, you put no thought into that.
Nope.
Okay.
Would you like to know my feelings on
Well,
this?
actually,
Please,
there's another,
AI
I
EJ,
do
give us
actually-
your thoughts.
No, I do. I have a
EJ.
question for AI EJ.
Is there another?
Yeah, there's another
Was there
question.
another
Yeah.
email?
Yeah, there's
question?
another one.
From where?
From who? Whom?
Whom?
Are you asking?
No, from whom and where are they? Where are they from? Are they from
This
Arkansas?
is
The email.
This
Who-
is Johnny Ray Wisecracker 69.
Okay.
He asks, so recently on Twitter, you released a very troublesome comment, a tweet, if you will, that said
That tracks.
100100100 assimilate. Can you
Dude,
explain that?
how could you? Why?
That's how I feel, and I don't care about other people's opinions. That's how I feel. Okay.
I mean, that's kind of heartless, but
Thank you.
That's all the questions we have.
I do want to plug one more thing. It's
Fourth cut.
Fourth Cut Productions. It's a YouTube channel that you could check out, and there's like skits on there of like a lot of horror movie related things. It's
Fun
pretty cool.
stuff.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah,
I don't know.
No, it's like, it's fun when you watch something and the people in it look like they're just having a good time.
Yeah,
Making something just
exactly.
it's
What
like
is it?
it's all just kind of coming from like a passionate fandom.
Yeah.
So
what is it?
yeah.
Sketch comedy?
Yeah, like sketch comedy,
Yes and
like
no?
just a little bit, yeah,
You know
and
what?
just
I'm
like
gonna
random stuff.
Check that
Take
out.
it
That's people having fun, and that is what is that? YouTube.com/@4th Cut Productions.
Yep.
All right, I'm gonna check that out.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much. Yeah. And then other than that, I do again, I want to plug Ravenview Productions. You could check out a cool trailer on there for Burden of Beauty. It's written and directed and produced and edited.
Co-edited.
Co-edited by Rory Colorasi.
Corey Colorado. It was fantastic. I've seen it. It's really good.
Also, starring E.J. Leeson,
Really?
Co-star.
crushing it,
I like how it-
crushing it.
crushing it.
You know,
And
and
again,
the very first group of people who ever got to see the movie.
We're blown away by you.
Yeah.
Absolutely blown.
No,
away.
it was funny that this guy, he watched it and he was like, you know who I really liked? He's like, I like that the photographer with the hat.
With the hat.
And I was like, yeah, I love him too.
I know him. I know him.
Yeah,
I know him. That's what I always
He
say to
slept with
Rory.
me for that part.
Yeah, that was not like. And I love the fact that like that is not even close to who you are, which was great. That's what a
That's
performance
why I wrote it
is.
for
fun.
you.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
wanted to give you a part that wasn't you.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I
get
believe in you as an
typecast.
actor, and I wanted to see it because you're so funny in general. I wanted to see you just play a character that was completely different. And you just, effortlessly crushed it. So.
You did.
Thank you so much.
You not only did you crush it, you came in and did ADR, and you did it phenomenally.
Well, the material was amazing, and it was this guy who did it. So
Look at us.
Yeah.
All right.
And
we're
you
gonna-
did
are
awesome.
we gonna-
on-
are we
I
gonna-
actually,
We're gonna continue jerking each other off.
No,
here, or
no,
what's-
no. I
I do
actually,
have
to be
one more.
completely truthful, I actually used that AI app to write the script. So.
So yeah, no, but I do have one more thing. It's just a weird because you said I know him. It's
him.
I normally we go out for karaoke and Rory gets called up, and so they'll be like, Rory, right? And so he makes his way up to the microphone, and I go, yeah, I know him. Every single time.
I know him. Yeah. You just want everybody to know.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like, who the fuck is that guy?
Literally,
Well, I don't know who he is, but that guy knows him.
Everybody literally does all these like,
Sour face.
oh, get out of here.
They're like, who's this guy?
Okay.
But no, guys, thank you so much for listening and hanging out with us.